So we've got a couple of videos we can watch if you guys are keen for that. I am. My internet is dying right now. Look at that. Beautiful. Middle of the day. All right, let me get a Pepsi, and then we'll look at some content, all right? Flipping old schools. This should be Old School RuneScape's new skill, OSRS. I'm going to do some mining in the background, so if you hear... Stop! I'm going to do some mining in the background, so if you hear like a bunch of rune crafting, just accept it, move on, get over it. Will, if you plan on playing RuneScape anytime soon, the T-Bow's unavailable because it's in my bank, but I'll give it to you when I'm done with this video. Sorry, chat comes first. Guys, what is the max? It's Pepsi Max. Is max taste, no sugar. Best soft drink on the fucking market. Anyways, Rebel watching in 144p, Condor not asking in 1080p. Alright, good luck. Let's have a look. Flipping old school. This should be Old School RuneScape's new skill. Let's have a look.
Now, for
let me know how the volume is too.
last 10 years of Old School RuneScape, we have never received a new skill in the game. But that could be changing in 2023, because at the Winter Summit, Jagex announced that they're actually looking to pull a new skill next year. Now, obviously, there's a lot of opinions on what skill that should be, and that's kind of why we're...
166,000 votes. I don't think there's been a more heavily polled vote in the history of RuneScape. Maybe. I don't think we've had that might be one of, if not the biggest, the most polled vote in RuneScape, right? What do you... I reckon we're going to get an 81% yes rate. I think. What is it currently? Right now it's at, how the hell do you check polls here? It's at 181, whoa, 181,000 right now. I reckon at least 100,000 people say yes. For sure. His voice is calming. Mine? Thank you. Hello?
Going through this process.
Old School does have a nice,
right now,
smooth voice.
I've actually been working on for a couple of months, so maybe it's about
Canadian,
time to
right?
make my pitch for what I would like to see as the new skill, and that would be sailing.
Sailing!
The sailing skill
Who would
would
have
be
fucking
mainly
guessed?
focused on exploring the vast oceans of Gielinor. You take your ship to explore the
Video's
open
quiet?
oceans, as well as tons of new locations unique to sailing, as well as being able to explore existing locations, but with new sailing content added. Now, the main gameplay loop from sailing would be to go to one of the 11 ports in Gielinor. You'd start at a low-level port like Port Sarim at level 1, and as you leveled up the skill, you'd be able to move on to medium and then eventually high-level ports. Now, the bulk of your sailing experience would come from voyages. Voyages would be started from one of these ports and would bring you to one of the many different sailing encounters throughout the map. Now, these could be encounters at sea, which could be something like finding a giant whirlpool, fighting the new colossal kraken, or finding a location to participate in deep sea fishing, which would be a new training method.
Okay.
There also would be numerous land encounters, which would be mostly on new and existing islands. There are dozens of different potential encounters here, such as the Dragon's Eye. This would be a dungeon hidden under a small secluded island, which would have an underground maze leading to a high-level red dragon boss in the center. Or you could find the giant whale encounter, located in one of the distant desert islands. But those are of course just some examples. I'll cover more in a minute. But the general idea is you'd set sail from a port, complete one of the many sailing encounters, and then you return back to one of the ports of Gielinor, gaining sailing experience, loot depending on what sailing encounter you had, and sometimes experience in some of the other skills. Now, in an ideal world, all of these encounters would be non-instanced, real places throughout the map, as well as new islands and ocean locations, so you can interact with other people training the skill. Now, each of the different ports would have access to...
Now, this is kind of like what Bodhi explained in his video, right? Similar sort of concept. I used to put these videos on to fall asleep too. Marianne and Kat both used to do that. I'm sure Flipping Old School would love to know that. The ladies use your videos to fall asleep too. This is kind of like the concept that Bodhi suggested, right? It does look a lot better with, like, obviously a video going with it, rather than Bodhi, which is like bang standing and talking. So I think this really does help illustrate the point a lot more. The main problem you're going to have going in this direction with a video, in my opinion, is you have to think about, is it going to be worth our time doing this skill as opposed to just raiding, if that makes sense. Of course, if the rewards are great, then you would do the skills. But if it's more fun to just go to TOA or Cox or Tob, why would you go to these islands to do these dungeons and bosses for content that it's more, when it's more fun and more profitable to just do Theatre of Blood? Because it sounds like you're just going off to different mini raids, right? But if Theatre of Blood, if you can clear that in 25 minutes with an average team with no scythes, 23 to 25 minutes and a 4-man team, why would you spend 20 minutes doing an island that doesn't give you, because fuck Tob, how about fuck you, Adam Westmoreland? Fuck you got a dumb fucking name. So, like, that's just like a potential problem you might find with a skill like this, until at least later in the skill.
To a different pool of potential sailing encounters, with of course the lower level ports having access to some of the safer...
Unless they completely revamp the mechanics of the game, and it's basically Sea of Thieves when you get on the boat. It's totally fine. It's called piracy, like that Gale. It's called piracy. It's PvP. As soon as you get in the boat, it's like a 16 gigabyte download. You're on the fucking ship with the boys, and you're launching, not cannonballs, other fucking players at other ships, and you're fighting each other to the fucking death, just because it would just completely, it would be fucking fun. But it's also a terrible idea, but why not?
Search
for the
at
meme.
home islands, but as you level up your sailing level and get access to higher level ports, you'll also get access to some of the higher level encounters, which would be a lot more dangerous. Sailing would take advantage mostly of existing ports throughout the game, but it would also see the addition of 2 additional ports, which would be the higher level ones, being Port Wise and even a potential wilderness port, which could open a potential new interesting area of wilderness ocean exploration where nowhere is safe and you could be attacked by other players. Now, while exploring the high seas, the most important thing is going to be your boat. The boat itself is upgradable, which means you can gain additional features the more money you invest into the boat and the higher you get your sailing level. In a boat, there'll be 4 main things to upgrade. Your storage chest, which will of course be required to store any loot that you receive or put in any required items that you might need. Your ship's cannon, which would be an offensive weapon used mainly in encounters at sea. Your hull strength, which would determine how much damage your ship can take before requiring repair. And the ship wheel. The ship wheel would give you a little bit more control over where you're going, what kind of encounters you're going to get, and the difficulty. Sailing the open ocean, of course, has quite a bit of wear and tear on your boat, so reasonably often you're going to need to repair your ship. Boats will need to be repaired with planks, regular oak, teak, and mahogany, as well as a brand new redwood plank.
Yeah.
There would also be a whole host of new shipbuilding materials that would be
So you've got primordial crystals, Pegasian crystals, and cannonballs. Redwood planks is something that Modash has discussed in the past. I've had a tweet back and forth with him about it too for construction. I'd imagine they're going to bring that in soon. Just thinking about what he's saying, it depends, because like my thought process on one hand is this could just be a raid. This could just be raids 4, right? You could just make it raids 4. You go out to sea. The island, there's various different islands you could choose, I guess, which come to the same end result at the end of the day. Does it need to be a skill? It depends if you want to expand on it and split it up to the point that it's a skill, or you just condense it into one big ass fucking voyage and make it a raid. You like the idea? I haven't heard another better idea. No, this video really does make sailing sound and look good, you know? It makes sailing... It looks good. The visuals and the way he's explaining it, and just like the video itself is presented really well. It does make a good argument for the skill, or for the idea of the skill. It just depends how big you want it to be, right? If you want it to be 8 different ports and all these different islands, it can work, but is that, if you're only going to get one skill, is that what you want the skill to be on? Is that the skill you want? When you could just make, you could make it a raid, or you could make it its own thing. That's not a skill. You could make its own. You could literally do this, right? You could do this. You could have another icon, right? There's a free icon block here. Let me make it bigger for you. Oh, there's not one here. Okay. So they can add an icon block anyway, right? If you wanted, or add it to the character summary or whatever, and just have it ports. And then you could just have all your port information. It doesn't need to be skill-based, and it could be progressed in its own way, to be honest. It doesn't even need to be a skill. It could just be progressed in its own way, and you slowly just build up. You take all that and put it into a panel, and you just build up your port and your boat and everything just by progression of doing the content. The same sort of progress as you would like combat tasks to upgrade your boat. It doesn't even need to be a skill at the end of the day. I just feel like that sort of content, like the idea of dungeoneering, is a skill just for the sake of being a skill. It could just not be a skill and still be in the game. I think this sort of content falls into the same category. This could totally be in the game and work. It doesn't need to be a skill to be in the game. That's the point I guess I'm trying to get across. It could just be a thing. There's nothing wrong with, like, the idea is great. It doesn't need to be a skill. It could just be a thing, and it could be as big as it wants. In fact, if you make it a skill, that then puts a ceiling on it. If you don't make it a skill and you add it, let's take dungeoneering from RS3 as an example, because it's already in RS3. We know what it kind of looks like. If they removed the skill from the skill menu in RS3 and just had dungeoneering as it was, and you progress the way you do through dungeoneering, because I'm pretty sure you start on like level 1, complexity 1, and you can't go up to complexity 2 unless you do level 1, complexity 1, and so on. Okay, to complexity 5, then you go level 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Without the skill, you have to progress it that way. So if you remove the skill, you still have to progress through dungeoneering to do better in dungeoneering, right? Or to go further in. It could still be in the game, and it completely works. There's a few aspects outside of dungeoneering, like the dungeons around the map that you unlock based on your dungeoneering level. But you could take that out and just have it as its own concept. You could just make sailing or ports or piracy as its own thing. It could totally be in the game and not be a skill. We could get a skill, and then they could add this later, or they can add this now and get a skill later. I just think if you're going to only want one skill in the game, don't waste it on this when this could just be in the game regardless, I think. I feel like you're just adding it now just to take up the skill at that point. But that's, you know, it depends. I'm just thinking of the bigger picture. It wouldn't really be new to Old School for the fact that it's been in Old School before, just it wasn't called Old School RuneScape then. That is either you're not talking to me or you're not speaking English. One of the two. Fish control of extra steps, it seems? No, because no, not really. The only thing it has in common with fish controller is it's on a boat.
Required to be created similar to a viable skill. This would provide a reasonably low experience per hour, but would be pretty AFK and could even be profitable depending on how many people are doing it. Think of making stuff like ship canvas, reinforced nails, or different types of cannonballs made exclusively for sailing cannons. Now, in no particular order, what other types of sailing encounters could you run into? Now, something I've kind of wanted to see in RuneScape for a while now is a PVM tank test. There are a couple things like that in the game, I guess you could say the 6 Jad challenge, but here is what I would be envisioning. So in the deep oceans, you find a very small abandoned island. On the island, there's a very strange statue with a small staircase leading into a dark dungeon. This dungeon would be similar to maybe a floor of the Hallowed Sepulchre, and in the center there would be a chest with some high tier loot. The issue though is as soon as you grab it, the dungeon starts to rumble, the walls start to collapse, and you have to get out of there as soon as possible. But all of a sudden your player is tele-blocked, and the only way out is to run back the way you came. Getting in was moderately difficult, but leaving extremely challenging. Not only do you have to complete the same agility obstacles going out, but there'd be tons of damage coming from the collapsing cave, as well as guardian defenders attacking with ranged or magic alternating, which you'd have to prayer flick as you leave. You need a lot of food to get out of here successfully, and potentially prayer potions. I think that'd be pretty cool. Another idea I think is interesting would be a sailing clue scroll. You'd stumble upon an island that would have a randomly generated 4-step clue scroll. This would require you to do a few different things on the island, solving a few puzzles, digging in the right location, which would provide you with a mid-level reward. Another idea could be to have a skilling encounter. This could be a larger island with a small population of habitants living there, and maybe there's a infestation of these red chinchompa looking things that they want exterminated. You would have to catch all of the chinchompas on the island. You get to keep them, by the way, and you get a reward for doing that. The deep sea fishing encounter would be a new fishing and sailing training method. Now you'd be able to find this in the sailing gameplay loop, but you'd be able to sail back here after intentionally once you've discovered the location. Deep sea fishing would provide a new high tier fish, and while there'd only be one fishing spot, the difficulty is you'd have to keep your ship in the correct location as you'd constantly be drifting away from the fishing spot.
Is the dude trying to hype up a skill that just takes you to do other skills, or am I misinterpreting this? Well, that's the idea of an exploration-based skill, right? The dungeoneering... This is like... The idea of sailing is based off the concept of dungeoneering at the end of the day. So the idea is to go out and do shit. Because sailing is literally... like you said at the start... You get XP, you level it by doing voyages, and the voyages take you out to other places to do every other skill other than sailing, to then come back, and then you level sailing based on doing that voyage by doing every other fucking skill in the game. So it's basically just, it's leveled purely by doing every other skill in the game, and then you get sailing XP at the end. Sounds like a minigame. It can be a minigame, and it's not that it's a... Oh fuck, gotta make sure we keep on that grind, boys. Can't waste XP. So it's not about wasting... It's not about it being a bad idea. It's about how people want to implement it. I think this could definitely work in RuneScape, and all the ideas, all the different islands, great. The more the merrier. If you make it a skill, you eventually get to hit a ceiling. I mean, it's like with combat, right? You're eventually going to hit a ceiling of 99 attack. You know, we're only at level 82 at the moment. Osmonton's Fang's the highest tier weapon. Eventually, 10 years, maybe 15 years time, if the game's still running, you're probably going to hit 99. You're going to run out of fucking numbers. You're going to start having 83, 84. You know, that's why they moved that's why they moved the Dragon Hunter Lance to 78 not too long ago. They moved the Scythe around to 80 and 90 strength. They moved it away from like 75 or something. I can't remember what they did, but they did a rebalancing because this game is limited by its own fucking design, which is level 99 in skills. Something like ports, or sailing, sorry, is a perfect opportunity to just add it to the game without a skill limit. That way it has unlimited potential for Jagex to just constantly, for as long as they want, add content to it. And as new content comes out, new quests come out, new expansions, new bosses, they can then add new ideas to sailing without it affecting the skill limit or the cap. It could just be added. This is a great idea. I just don't think it needs to be implemented as a skill. Knockoff of summoning, beast taming skill. It's a terrible idea. Unless you can sell me the idea of beast taming, yeah, no, that's just, you're just commenting for the sake of commenting at this point. Power creep is definitely a thing more side grade weapons could mitigate. Yeah, I mean, power creep I don't think is a problem in RuneScape at the moment because we don't, like, there's nothing's really broken or overpowered. I think, you know, I think we definitely have a power creep problem coming, but at the moment I think we're pretty good. We were saved by the Fang nerf, I think, and the blowpipe nerf, but it's definitely something that we're going to be suffering, but that's, yeah, a discussion for another time.
Now, what would be the experience?
Sorry for pausing. I can't think of a good skill, but that's exactly why you're not working as a J mod. What you have to remember is, look at RuneScape 3. They've got necromancy coming. They had archaeology come out, what, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Would you have ever thought of archaeology as a skill until you heard of it? Or even dungeoneering, divination, invention, summoning? To be honest, runecrafting, farming, slayer, and hunter. Well, hunter maybe not so much, but runecrafting, slayer, farming are pretty no-brainer skills if you look at the skills menu. But then you got construction and hunter. They're kind of obvious skills now that you think about them because they've been in the game for so long. But then when you get to something like archaeology, how the fuck would you think of that and implement it into the game? And they do it. And the JMod team, they're paid and they're paid to do it, and they're professionals. and they have a great passion for this game. They've probably got ideas they've been thinking of for years. They work for Jagex. They work for RuneScape. They live for RuneScape. They'll have ideas, and I'm sure they'll surprise us. They'll come with some skills that you'll go, damn, that's not a bad idea. Or at least, damn, I didn't think of that, even if it's shit. Archaeology is a great skill too. I only got like to level 20, but I didn't mind it.
Experience and the rewards from sailing. Well, experience-wise, I was thinking you would start at a fairly low XP rate, maybe between 15 and 20,000 experience.
Fuck that.
per
Give me
hour,
200k
but
XP an hour, like Wintertodd, and let me max that shit in 3 fucking days. Just let me max it and give me the fucking content. I don't want to grind another fucking... Do you know how shit agility is? Agility is shit because of the XP rates, not because of how it's trained. If agility gave me 120k XP an hour at Ardone rooftops, I'll run that shit all day butt naked. I don't give a fuck. I will get it done. But 35, 40k XP an hour by chilling, and if I'm getting sweaty, 50k XP an hour, fuck that at level 90. Get fucked. Crank those fucking numbers up. Add a 0 on to the end of both of those. Fuck the grind. This game is grindy enough. Give me some fucking max levels. Fuck me.
Sailing port would bump it up a notable amount, giving you higher tier encounters.
125k an hour. Fuck that, dude. That's level
experience.
70
Once
numbers.
you're getting closer to 99, I was thinking you'd get somewhere
Max
between
capers would not be
100,000 and
complaining.
150,000
Max capers want a new
experience per
skill.
hour, slotting it kind of in a similar time frame as it takes to get a 99 in your melee stats or something like that.
Your melee stats, that's
Now, I
you're doing
personally
like 10
envision
things at once,
sailing
and
as
it's
a
fun.
reasonably profitable skill. When you think about sailing the open ocean, daring to adventure the open seas, I mean, I think they're out there to make some money. I don't know about you guys, but so I think
You
the
want to clip it
rewards
for a
could
short, clip it
involve
yourself,
a
put it in a
fair
short
amount
step.
of existing items. So I think there could obviously be similar common rewards to what like a raid would give. I mean, like blood essence, runes, gems.
If it doesn't give raid-like rewards, guess what? You're not going to do it, because raids give better rewards, more fun, and if you're going to spend more than... If you're going to go out to a fucking island in sailing, and you're spending more than 10 minutes on an island, why the fuck are you even there? What is the point? Why spend 10 minutes on an island when you can spend 20 minutes in Tob and pull a fucking rapier or a scythe? Or just rewards like this. They have to be rewarding if you want people to train this skill. That's why it shouldn't be a skill. Just make it something that people can go do because they want it to be fun. If it's not rewarding, but it's fun, or not as rewarding, but it's fun, it's probably going to have a lot more success. But it's got to compete with raids. Raids are fun. Raids are some of the best content in the game. PVM collection log, not a lot of people give a shit about maxing the collection log. Like, there's a community for it for sure, but like the majority of players, of 181,000 people that have voted for this new skill, I would say maybe 10,000 of them maybe give that much of a shit about the collection log. Less than that.
Herb seeds, raw fish, and some alcohols, but I think some of the rewards could also be more convenience things, such as discovering a new spot to hunt red chinchompas. Maybe an island has a hardwood tree patch that could be close to your ship's deposit box, making it a convenient way to bank those logs. Maybe sailing similar to Slayer could unlock new boss encounters that would actually train other skills, like maybe you locate a new hunter boss on a secluded island somewhere. I think the more you can integrate in other skills and reasons to level up sailing beyond just getting a higher sailing level, the more natural the skill will feel. Now, sailing isn't a new idea, it's not my idea, definitely, and it was even officially polled back in 2015, but failed. Now, I think it failed mainly due to two main factors. One is there was just a different mentality back in 2015 on how much people thought the game should stray away from the original 2007 release. And secondly, I don't think the dev blog gave nearly enough information on what a sailing skill would actually look like. So that's why I thought it'd be fun to expand on the sailing skill and make kind of...
What happens if your ship sinks? The shit don't last forever. That's why they don't make them out of wood anymore. What happens if it sinks? What happens if you don't bring your diving apparatus? Then you're fucked. Have to go to Death's fucking coffer, boys. We already sailed in Dragon Hunter. You mean Dragon Slayer? Redwoods no longer drop on ground when woodcutting. Really? Should have to pay Death's coffer if it sinks. Something you got to think about. These ships can't last forever.
of my own version of what I think would be fun. Now, I think if we do get a new skill in Old School, it needs to be legitimately fun. Like we don't need another gathering skill or a skill like fire making. If anything, some of those skills should actually be updated to be more engaging, but that's a whole other topic. If you get a new skill, I think it should try to add legitimately exciting gameplay to try to entice new people to try out the game, to keep existing players engaged, and I think sailing could have that spark if done correctly. Now obviously the version of sailing that I put forward in this video has tons of flaws with it. I think there needs to be some unique new rewards offered from the skill that aren't just, you know, random new PVM gear or existing loot and resource items from other skills. It needs some unique resources that it provides, I think, and I think it needs to be a bit more integrated into the wider game. Probably one of the most difficult things about adding a new skill is
It's like Fossil Island, okay? Fossil Island is like a fucking Iron Man's wet dream. You're an Iron Man, you get to Fossil Island as soon as you can, you're done. You got Hunter, you got Hardwood, you've got wood cutting, you've got the wyverns, you've got the fucking crabs, you've got that volcano thing no one fucking does. You got everything you need on Fossil Island. Then you've got underwater shit, okay? Now take Fossil Island and take every aspect of Fossil Island. Take the hardwood trees, take herbivore, take the what are those mushroom things? Take that little cunt in the crazy guy with the mental disorder in the swamp. Take the wyverns, take the volcano, and split them up over the map, okay? Now you just get your boat and you go to each part that you want. Instead of making it all one fucking island, you've just split it up. You take your boat out to each one, call it sailing, you got a skill. That is essentially what is being pitched to us. That's essentially it. Jagex can give us all of this content in one island, or they can split it up, give us a boat, and have fun traveling out, I guess. I guess if there's going to be encounters on the way there and back, that might just get really fucking annoying. I don't know, again, I think the main problem you're going to find with this is if it takes longer than 10 or 15 minutes to do a voyage, you're going to have people just preferring to raid because raiding is profitable, raiding is fun. Raiding, you can do a Cox run in 20 minutes. You can do a Tob run in 20 minutes. You can TOA in 25, 30 minutes, you know? This is going to be a mid-game thing if it's going to be, has this idea. But that being said, it's not a bad idea. It's a skill though, not only PVM. Yes, but it'd be very big. It'd have to be very big. Why would you do this for hunting red chins? Like there was just the example you said, a new spot for red chins. Just do your fucking Western Province diaries. You got your own spot for red chins. You know, it's like comparing Wintertodt to Temporos to Tob. Kind of. It'd be like comparing this to Wintertodt or Temporos. Why would you go out on a voyage to do 10 minutes of deep sea fishing when you can do a 6-minute Temporos run for fishing XP? That's already 90k an hour and gives you pretty much all the fish you need in the game. It needs to be more rewarding than Temporos. It might be more fun, but it needs to kick the shit out of Temporos to make the fishing aspect of sailing worth your time. Because Temporos is pretty fucking rewarding, is really good for XP, and is only 6 to 7 minutes. If you're in a team, you can get it done in 5 minutes. If you're on a mass world, or 4 or 5 minute runs, so you can. If you're spending twice that much time just to level sailing to get maybe the same amount of rewards, then it just has to be fun to be worth doing for 10 minutes instead of 5. Temporos can suck my dick for not giving me the pet. Well, that sounds like a you problem. So I think that's just that, like, this is just me trying to. I'm trying to pick holes in the idea, because you have to look. While it does sound, like I keep saying, it sounds good and it looks like a great skill, and I love the concept. I love the way it's being pitched. But you have to look at the flaws. You have to think about what could be wrong, what it's got to compete with, and what other methods are available, because this skill has to be perfect, right? And it has to work. And if you're going to try, like you said, deep sea fishing is an idea, and if you're going out to sea, there's got to be fishing. Why would you have to make sure it's better than going to Temporos for people who are trying to level their fishing? low to mid level, because your options are Temperos, barbarian fishing, or like 2-tick sword fishing at the moment. Temperos is the one that keeps you sane. And there's possibilities of having so many skills involved in training them all at once. Yeah, that's it. But does that mean that's why I think this would be better off just being its own concept of sailing rather than it being a skill. I hate training 95% of skills. Yeah, I know. That's why. Why would you do this unless it was fun? But why would you go do fishing on this if Temperos was easier for you to do? If this took you twice as long to complete than Temperos did, would you rather do this or Temperos if this was more fun? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Tempe is barely saying 50 KSP an hour. That's if you cook. I think you can get twice that if you don't cook with a dragon harpoon, I think. I think all the skills are already there. It's I mean, look, I'm not saying this is a bad idea. I think this looks great. I think if this wasn't a skill, if this was just put in the game, it'd be way better because then it won't fail as much. If the skill is sailing and it's a skill and it's in there, then it has potential to fail. But if they just add it to the game and they balance it right, and you don't have to worry too much about levels, you can progress it another way, like progress it, like I said, with the combat tasks. It's just an example. Have a layout like this, where you have your progressions for doing a certain amount of voyages, allow you to unlock these different voyages, different tasks even, your whole new log. You can't go to these islands until you do this island. You know what? Keep it off the skills, make it its own log, then that way it has less, it won't fail as a skill. Stream for much longer, probably like an hour or so. I think if this isn't a skill, it's less likely to fail.
Integrating it into the existing world. How do you make people train sailing? Obviously making it fun and engaging.
Make it something you don't train. You just progressively complete, I guess. Like a log. Like a diary.
Really helpful in that. But there aren't going to be any quests that require sailing. There's no diaries that will require sailing. You could retroactively add those, but that seems like a whole other host of issues. And I think the reality is, at first, it's going to be challenging. It's going to require future content to build on sailing to really make it feel like an integrated skill. But that's going to be the case for any skill we add. But either way, let me know what you guys think of this video. It was obviously primarily just for fun. I wouldn't want to see the skill added in this exact manner. I was just kind of spitballing ideas, and I thought it'd be cool to make a video. Anyway, thanks for watching.
He got us, boys. He just wanted to make a video. He fucking got us. Flipping Old School fucking got us again. The dog.
Next one. Now, quickly before I go here, I just want to thank all of my members over on YouTube.
Shout out to the
thank you so
YouTube
much
members.
to Alejandra, Prophet of the Boosh, Mitch Reinders.
YouTube members are top tier. I don't want to be rude, Flipping Old School, but fuck your YouTube members. Mine are better. Shout out to the guys in the chat. But here's a link to the video, guys, and do go check out the video if you want to watch it again and study the video further. Not bad. Good size. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy. It's huge.